Hey guys, I'm so excited for you to join my YouTube channel. I have a very special guest. She's near and dear to my heart. This is Kerry. So Kerry is actually my book editor. She's the one who reached out to me. Kerry is obviously a part of Quarto, which is a publishing house. She is an acquiring editor. She also knits. She's also a DIY extraordinaire. If I'm correct, you've just done a bunch of stuff for your mother-in-law's house to get it ready to
Yep,
sell.
yep, yep. Yeah, we did. And it sold and it closed. We're all done.
And it looked beautiful. It looked great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you are just like the star of you're the star of Sweater Success. So,
Oh,
did
no,
I
no, no, no. You're the star of Sweater Success.
well, you made Sweater Success come to life. So, heads up, if you don't know, I do have a book coming out November 4th. It's called Sweater Success. The title is a nice, long, a healthy mouthful, which is Sweater Success, how to fearlessly
No,
knit.
it's like from cast on to closet, how to fearlessly knit your favorite sweater, something like that. I think we're both mangling it a tiny
Is
bit.
that what we're like? We can't remember what my book is
And knit
called.
sweaters with confidence. Was it? Well, we changed it so many
Yeah,
times.
we did because you came up with this beautiful thing. You were like from cast on to closet, and I was like, that's all it needs to be. It's perfect.
Yeah,
It's like how to be able to literally knit your first sweater. And
yeah.
then we realized that you guys had to go through like all these other things.
Yeah, and then the sales team was like, "What's a cast on?" You
I
know,
know. They were like, it doesn't make sense. We're like, but it does to a knitter. Please, I promise. Did I
yeah.
miss anything introducing you?
No, I mean, I've been in knitting for a very long time and in the fiber community. Before being with Quarto, I was the editor of Interweave Knits magazine. And before that, I was editorial director of the book group at Interweave. Before that, fiasco way back in the day when they went into bankruptcy and was sold to Penguin Random House. But yeah, so I've been around for a long time, and knitting and crochet are my favorite books, but I do actually work on a lot of different things.
Yeah. What like drew you to publishing? What was the reason?
Yeah, well, I started in the craft community back in 2003. So I was a lampwork wire jewelry artist, bead maker for about 10 years.
Okay.
I regularly contributed to books and magazines. And my first book, Totally Twisted, came out in 2009. And by 2012, my publisher had a role for an acquiring editor open. And I had done all the things they were acquiring for. At the
Okay.
time, Interweave published into a lot of categories. It was knit, crochet, spinning, weaving, jewelry making, beadwork, mixed media, sewing, quilting. I've done all of those things. And I had written a book. So I thought, or a couple of books at that time. I thought, I want to do this more. I want to help other people who are like me turn their ideas into things other people can read. So
Yeah.
I've been always been a book geek. My mom likes to tell people I started to read when I was 4, but didn't know how to use scissors. Like it was ridiculous. So I always have loved books. It's my favorite. Like when your book baby is born and you hold it for the first time and you can smell the ink, it's going to be so awesome.
I
And
know.
I love doing that for others. Like,
I feel like that's like, and I feel like because you like I'm gonna be feeling it for the first time. I just got an email being like, yeah, we're sending out your first like copy of your book to you so that you can hold it and have it in your hands. And like that moment, I feel like is going to be so exciting. And I feel like you essentially get that multiple times. How many books do you edit per year?
well, it really depends. Like as an acquiring editor for Quarto, I'm doing about 12 to 15 books a year, but I've done as many as 40 a year. Like it depends on the season and, the expectations and how many titles we need to get out a year. But I've worked on a lot. So I have been like a book doula for hundreds of books at this point.
Oh my God, that's insane. Because like I know that like you and I were like very hands-on. Like I feel like this whole experience of especially like writing my first book, because this is my first book, just like you were so on it all the time of just like being able to also help me and like me being like, this is what I'm thinking, this is what my breakdown is going to be, and of like each chapter, and you'd be like, I think you should shift here, blah 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 blah, and we would move. So I feel like you're so like hands-on. I can't imagine that with like 40 other authors, especially because there's also like so many things that happen in a book. Can you maybe run us through like from start to finish, like how does a book come to life, especially from like the publishing side?
Okay. Well, it starts with an idea. It's always a seed of an idea. And whether it's the
Is
author's
that
idea,
idea yours?
well, sometimes it's my idea and sometimes it's the author's because I am pitched books. And
Okay.
other times it's just like I'm on social media all the time. I'm stalking accounts all the time. I'm looking at the explore page, seeing what hashtags are happening. And like I'm like, I think there is a book on this thing. Like I'm
Yeah.
seeing this thing happening. I think there needs to be a book. And then I will find an author or an author will come to me, or, there's an author I've worked with in the past where I'll be like, hey, I got this idea. What do you think? Do you want to bring it to life kind of thing? So,
Yeah.
so there's different ways that the seed starts, but it always is, there's an idea there. So
Yeah.
then we get into the development process. Once there is like an author on board and I've reached out and they're like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. That's what I want to do. I want to be the author of that book. We start to develop a proposal. Like, what is this book going to be? Yeah, it's an idea, but what are we actually going to put in it?
Yeah.
And
What are the chapters? What are the
yeah, what are the
breakdowns? What are
chapters?
like
Like, is it going to be a pattern book? Which I don't recommend pattern books right now.
on
That
it?
you like, it needs to be more than a pattern book to be
I
successful.
remember you reaching out to me and getting that email first because I had actually already had a book offer back in like I think probably 2020 when the pandemic started. And I remember going back and forth through them and they were like, we want like 20 exclusive patterns and we want them all like beginner friendly designs. And I was like, cool, like how long do I have to be able to create that? And they said a very short timeline, which was like less than a year. And I was like, you guys do realize that it takes like 3 months to be able to make a
Yeah.
single like garment and you want me to do 20 and you're asking them to be exclusive? Like, kindly F all the way off. Like, that is not going to happen. And I remember pitching them the idea of like sweater success, which I was like, I really want to teach people how to be able to knit their first sweater and all the things that they should know to be able to do it. And they were like, yeah, we don't want an education book. And I remember you reaching out to me, and I was like, how many exclusive patterns do there have to be? Like, is it a pattern book? And you were like, no, we don't want pattern books because they don't do as well.
Yeah.
We want like an educational book. And I was like, oh my God, I found the publisher. Like it was kismet. Like honestly, when you were like, no, we want something that like teaches people. And I was like, that's what I've always wanted to make. So sorry to interject, but yeah.
Well, when you think about it, what book stays on your shelf? Something that teaches you something, and you're
Yeah.
going back to it again and again, and like, revisiting it because you got so much out of it the first time. You'll get so much out of it the second time.
Yeah.
And the way that the pattern industry has evolved, there's another new pattern every single day.
Oh, every
That
day.
book of 20 patterns, what are you going to do with 20 sweaters? Like, are you going to knit all 20 sweaters before another one pops up that you want to knit? Like,
Yeah, yeah,
no, it doesn't
probably
make
not.
sense.
That's a good
And it's slave labor to the poor author.
yeah, literally, it was like, there's no possible way that I can like, and I remember getting like the actual offer, and I was like, oh, hell no. I was like,
Yeah.
that is not but that's interesting though, because you're right. Like it used to be patterns used to come out in magazines and books, and like there wasn't indie published like designers.
Yeah. But now there are so many. So like we got to evolve. We got to go and we got to do the thing that makes sense. And the thing that makes sense is teaching people and creating
Yes.
something that they're going to want to go back to again and again.
Yeah.
So
We
I love
we love
working
the
on.
Vogue Knitting Live book. Like we love it.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
go-to.
Yeah.
Sorry. So you've come up with an idea, you've reached out to the person,
Yeah.
and then you start going into more of the
Yeah.
process.
So you develop the proposal, and every publisher has their own process to the actual like acquisition and signing a contract. But for me, there's a process of pitches where I share it first with our editorial team, and I love our editorial team. everyone is like so supportive. And we do this internal pitch where each AE like shares their book ideas, and everyone else comes at of from the angle of, did you think of this? You could add that. Did you see this article? Like, and they're all trying to help each other build up the proposal with buckets of evidence of need that it needs to be in the world. And then once it's really solid, we take it to pub board, where like the sales and marketing teams chime in, executives chime in, and ultimately the CEO will decide if a book makes sense or not. And then
okay.
Yeah. And then from there, we build the P&L, and from a P&L, we can give an offer to an author, and then we go through the contract process. You sign the contract, you're writing a book, and then you go through the manuscript process, which is a different phase.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm listening to all this. I just want to make sure that I'm not missing anything too. And also because my phone, I know that you were like, oh, but my phone will ring. And of course, mine rings. Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said an acronym. What was that?
P&L, profit loss. Yeah, P&L, a profit loss statement. So so at pub board, the sales team, all the different sales groups, like there's the international team, there's the UK team, there's the US team, and within US there are like those who sell to Barnes and Noble, those who sell to the mom and pop shops, all the different outlets. Everybody kind of chimes in of, I can sell that many of that. I can sell this many. I can sell, and that like builds the initial print run. Yeah. And from that, we can break down the costs of what we can spend along with the print expenses based on that print run. So from there, we can figure out, what is the advance going to be? How much do we need for photography? How much do we need for a layout designer? How much do we need for tech editing? Like, we figure out all the things, and we create something that helps it make financial sense for us to do a book.
No, that totally makes sense. Because like there is so much more involved in it. I know I have like a question going on later where it's just like there's so much more than that's just involved in like actually like writing a book. And something that I found like really helpful that you ended up giving me was like a deadline. So like I remember we started technically talking, I think in like June. And then I think it took us about like 3 weeks to like get back and forth for you to like chat with yours. And then going back and forth about like negotiating like an advance, etc., stuff like that, which I know that we're going to get to advances when we get to it. So if you're waiting for that aspect of the YouTube video, you don't get it yet. And then from there, I remember you breaking down my entire like time to be able to write into 3 different chunks. So I remember my first deadline was, I think, the very end of October. So I essentially had like August, September, October to be able to write, make all those patterns, because there are 6 exclusive patterns in this book. And then from there, it was the beginning of October to, I think, December 15th. And then technically December 15th to February 3rd. And that was like my last go round. And I remember being like, okay, that's technically like August, September, October, November, January, February, March, February, like 6 to like 7-ish months to be able to like write everything, which I I'm not gonna lie, when you reached out to me and I was like, oh hell, I am a writer. Like I literally wrote ads. I am like a writer by trade. Like that was my job before I started doing like Knitatude full time. And I remember being like, oh, this is a cakewalk. This will be so easy. And it was so tough. Like it was so tough to be able to like actually write, and not even just like write, but realize that it was like, you have to get this writing correct, because you do not, it's not like a blog post. It's not like you can just like go in and change your mind.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what you're putting out there needs to be accurate. And this is what is going to go out and represent you and teach people. And you don't want to have something where you're like, I got that really wrong, and there is now 20,000 copies of it out there really wrong.
And there's like no like errata where you're just like, change it.
Well, there is. I mean, like, you can do it about it, but not. You don't want it like.
But not for like an entire chapter where you're like, oh, you got this wrong.
Yeah, it's a very different mindset to be in when you're writing a book than if you're writing a pattern or a blog post.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I definitely found that it was the writing aspect, but then I I think when I like February 3rd, I was like, oh girl, you're done. Like,
No,
and
not
there
yet.
is so much more. Can you tell me like everything else that is involved? Because technically, like if we're talking that I delivered my manuscript officially February 3rd, but it comes out in November, technically it
Yeah.
was supposed to come out in December.
Right. We moved it up.
We moved it up.
Yeah, yeah. So, what we did for your book was actually we did the tech edit while we went. So, like, you finished patterns and we were handing them off to Sandy, your tech editor. She was going through them, getting them back to you, and then you were also having them tested. Like, there was a whole process. Some books, I get the manuscript and then the tech edit starts, and then
Yeah.
other things. But for yours, everything came in finished. And then what I do is I take all the little separate different pieces and I create one master manuscript. I'm
Mhm.
going through and I do an initial line edit, and then it's handed off to a copy editor who like
Yeah.
codes the manuscript, checks it for grammatical accuracy, things like that. And then you review that as well. So
Yes.
you go through the copy edited manuscript. Then it goes to design. Design lays out the entire book, start to finish.
Yeah.
And I used to never share the first draft with authors, but Quarto makes me do it.
Really? Okay.
There's so much wrong in the first draft, always. Like pictures aren't where they're supposed to be, charts
Yes.
aren't labeled properly. Like, and I know authors, it's their baby, it's their book baby. And when
Yeah.
they see a figure reference wrong, it's the end of the world. What are we going to do? Um, you weren't like that, but some authors are. And
Behind the
so like
scenes,
I
I
have,
was like, savage. Like,
you know, are you going to tell them about the cover? No,
yeah,
leave
I am. We'll get
so
there.
anyway, but yeah, so like you get to see first lasers. We call them lasers. Some companies
Yeah.
call them pages, drafts, whatever. So you get it start to finish, and you have the opportunity to go through it
Yeah.
and do all your markups, change things, fix things that were supposed to be bold that aren't, or you wanted to rephrase a sentence, something like that. We
Yeah.
do that, and we do that 3 times, like getting it more and more polished every round. And from there, it goes to a proofreader. And pretty much after the proofreader, we don't let authors touch it because
Yeah.
we can't have any 11th hour changes.
Agreed.
And then it goes to repro, which is the like post-production team does work on the files to make sure they're print ready and all the photos are the resolutions they need to be. We have project managers that also like review the print laser proofs, and art directors and book designers. Um, Everyone at the end stage is kind of mad dash, and then it's to the printer and it's printing.
Yeah, which is like totally wild. To kind of like bring us back to when you were talking about like the editing phase, because like we again, like I was saying that like we were really hands-on where it was
Yeah.
like when I would finish a pattern. So if it was broken down into three and I had six patterns, each time that I handed in like a third of the manuscript, it would also come with like the patterns as well. Which actually makes me kind of giggle because I like during it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm writing these, but also like editing these at the same time to be able to update
Mhm.
them. And I remember going to Rhinebeck last year, and I ended up having a conversation with Angie from Whistle and Woam, and Tony from TL Yarn Crafts, because I was like, that was October by that point, and I was like, I've only given my first like set of manuscripts in, um, or the first third, and I remember I was like, and I'm so excited for February 3rd, and Angie was like, oh no. She's like, it does not end that way. She's like, as soon as I like put in my entire manuscript, and then it was just pages and pages and pages of red underlining.
Yeah.
And Tony being like, yeah, same thing. It like as soon as I got all those things back, it was like, oh my God, what do I do? There is so much editing. And like, there's a part of me that's like, I'm so glad that we edited it at the same time. So it was like, we could have those conversations where I would like send you something. And you'd be like, I don't know if I think that wording works as best as you're looking for. Or like the way
Right.
that you've like put this in this section. Maybe like, I know that you and I talked a lot about like the sizing chapter where it
Yeah.
was like wanting to make sure that we like really put the sector of like, taking your measurements is very triggering and it can
Yeah.
be really uncomfortable and like
Yeah.
really like rearranging that chapter to make sure that we had it coming out as like
Yeah.
kind and like caring as possible. And I found
Yeah.
it really helpful to be able to like have that editing phase throughout the
Yeah.
entire thing. Because yeah, I guess you're right. You either like get the entire manuscript in like boom, one go, and then the editing phase. So I feel like the editing phase for me wasn't as difficult as maybe like other authors because like again, we were so hands.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I love working with authors that way. Like,
Yeah.
I I will do whatever the author wants me to. You know, I told you that so many times, right? Like, I would say, I think this is how it needs to be, but if you don't want to, don't accept the change.
Yeah.
Reject it in the file. We'll put it the way you want.
Yeah.
Um, and you know, that's how I am with all my authors. And some I'm like, do you want to have a meeting once a month? Do you need to like, do you want to check in more often? Or do you want me to just talk to you in 6 months because your head is down and you've got a vision and
You're
I will
pressed.
see it at that point, you know? So yeah, everybody's different. And I think, you know, just have to have flexibility. And I like projects that are a team effort, right?
Yeah.
Like uh, I recognize having been an author, it's a huge investment of your time away from your
Gosh. Yeah.
business, away like your daily life, you're thinking about it 24/7, like it's a huge commitment. But then being on the business side as well, it's a huge financial commitment from the
Yes.
publisher. Like buckets of money going out there. But so
Yeah.
we all have to be in this together. We have to be a team. We have to be like have each other's back. Like if you're like, I do not like this, okay, I'm going to bat for you. We're going to change it. But then
Yeah.
there's going to be things where it's like, you know what? I don't have any room left in this budget. I'm sorry. I just can't, you know, and you know,
Yeah.
like authors need to understand there's just some point where there's no more pennies to be squeezed out, you know. We're all in this together. We'll find a way to make things work. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally like my thing is that like I'm so accustomed to as soon as I put in the work, I see the payment automatically,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Yeah.
like I originally started being like every Friday I'm gonna sit down for 4 hours, I'm gonna write. And that
Mm-hmm.
was like my plan. And then all of a sudden it was like every Monday and Friday would be when I would like sit down and write and like specifically put it towards the book. And like at that point, right in September is when I ended up going part-time with like my agency
Mm-hmm.
work. And
Yeah.
my schedule with the agency was Tuesday, Wednesday, half day Thursday, and then Monday and
Mm-hmm.
Friday were like Knitatude. So I feel like so much of my part-time was just writing the book. And I've had so many friends being like, did you like one, would you write a book again? As well as like two, like how much time was involved? And like my answer is, I don't know if I would write a book again. It was so more
Yeah.
time consuming than I anticipated, and not being able to like totally see that revenue just like immediately because like I'm still waiting for November 4th and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
come on, like let's go.
Yeah.
But also just realizing that it was like being able to like have that feather in my cap of being like I've written a book feels
Yeah.
I have a feeling like as soon as I get the item, the book itself, even when I got like book plates, because all the bonuses, like PS, if you were one of the first 750 people who signed the bonuses sheets and signed up, there are already over 750. So I'm so sorry the bonuses are gone. But got book plates and like to me, I'm like over here like learning how to redo my signature
Mm-hmm.
over and
Yeah.
over and over
Yeah.
and over again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you can't use your regular signature. Otherwise, people will steal it and use it for their checks.
I never thought of that. Oh my stars. So like when I was editor of Interweave Knits, they were like, Kerry, we need your signature for your editor's letter in the beginning of the thing. And here I just signed. And they're like, is that your real signature?
Oh my God.
Yeah. And they're like, no, redo it. You can't do your signature.
Wait, is that on mine? I'm just realizing that I did that
No,
too.
no, no. We used a handwriting font. We used
Oh
a
my God,
handwriting
thank God.
font. No. Don't do that.
Is that a panic attack?
But yeah, you can't like do your real signature. It's wild. It's a wild and crazy world out there.
Yeah, like totally, totally crazy. And just like the idea of just like one getting to be able to sign something feels very, very weird, but very, very exciting. And then also to get us back on the track with the idea of timeline, and then goes into marketing. There's an entire like
Yep.
marketing team.
Yeah. Yeah. There we start our marketing, like we connect authors with their marketing managers about 9 months prior to publication. And that's when you kind of want to kick things off and
Yeah.
start planning and knowing, dropping the hints to the book and, really formulating the plan for the launch. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about 9 months prior.
Yeah, and I'm like currently I think this will drop probably mid-October. So currently Carrie and I are talking in September. Um I do have my book launch, which will be in Calgary. It'll be on November 6th. It's at the Plaza, which is like so near and dear to my heart. Todd works there. There are going to be like cocktails. There will be like tickets for with the book and without the book. He's been giggling because he has like one of my friends who went to broadcast school with me. She's going to be interviewing me, but he's like specifically putting two chairs and two ferns so that we can do like like between two ferns.
Yarn baskets between two yarn baskets.
So that's exciting. And then I'm also heading to Victoria, which will be the following weekend, and then possibly going out to Montreal, which is very exciting.
Yeah, Montreal's my half of the
I
country.
know. I was like, we got to make sure that we go to like the West Coast and then the East Coast. Our best,
That
our
sounds
best
so
bet.
exciting.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
so
can't
excited.
wait.
And then, okay, maybe on to our next question, because I know that that took so much, but
Yeah,
so needed. Um, when do you start looking for specific books?
I'm always looking for books. And then as the seasons change, new ideas come in.
Yeah.
Like obviously we're getting into knitting like season. It's
Yeah.
sweater weather. Love it. And then, so I'm seeing a lot more in my feed right now of the sweaters people are casting on for fall and stuff, and it's giving me ideas. I've already like started writing down, I want a book about this, I want a book about that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I will start like as the seasons change, these new ideas are coming in and I'll start to develop things. But I like the things I'm acquiring right now are probably going to publish late 2027, if not 2028 at this point.
Mhm.
Because like my 2026 packed, first half of 27 packed. There's a lot of books in the works right now. So yeah, it's kind of
Yeah.
all the time you're looking for all sorts of things. But I think the most important thing is figuring out when the prime time to publish something is. So
Mhm.
we initially were going to have your book come out in
January.
December
We're
or
gonna do
January.
January. And I was like,
January.
no, 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 no. I was like,
Right.
I want Christmas sales.
Yeah. Yeah, it was January, you're right. And I was like, so I was thinking new year, new me, selfish
Yeah.
knitting, like people want to learn a new thing. It's the perfect time. We'll do it in January. And then you were like, I want Christmas. And I'm like, okay, well, got it. We moved it up to
I
December.
was like, I
And
will
then the
literally write
sales
so much
team,
faster.
and then the sales team got a hold of it and they were like, yeah, no, let's bump it up. And we
Yeah.
got even earlier. But that we didn't make you do. We cut time off of our schedule for that.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, also, yeah, it's like you got to pick the right season for stuff to publish, and obviously knitting tends to publish in the fall.
Yeah.
A lot of publishers I notice are dropping titles in like February, March for knitting,
Okay.
but that feels just like a tad late. I don't know. I mean, I like books all year long, but I'm
Hmm.
not going to necessarily jump into sweater knitting in May. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Me
yeah,
neither. Unless it's gonna be
a
like a
tank,
crop top or like
yeah,
something.
or crop top, yeah, yeah.
Um,
So
yeah, so technically would you say like technically a year and a half, if not more?
yeah. And timelines from acquisitions to publishing are really author dependent. So some authors tell me like you had some of the projects, right, like knit already, but you hadn't written
Yeah.
the patterns for them yet.
Yeah.
So you could work at a little bit faster
And
pace. That's why
technically the Neapolitan pullover was knit in 2021. And I was like, it's coming for a book. It's gonna be in a book.
yeah. But not all the authors have projects in their back pocket ready to go. So,
Yeah.
like that 6 months worked for you because you weren't actually knitting all the things. But
Yeah.
some authors are like, I'm going to need a year. I'm going to need a
Yeah.
year. I need a year. And then on our end, it's going to be another year or to 18 months potentially. So the timing is so author dependent. I've had authors where they've turned around a manuscript in 3 months because
Just want to get it done.
they just want to get it done, and others need a long time. And then there are others who just like blow through their deadlines and pretend they don't exist.
And then you have to,
Those authors
and
exist.
yeah, then you have to write the book, which is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that has happened. That has happened.
That's
I've like
actually insane.
ghost written a couple of books out there.
Oh my God. You're like, I've technically self-published all of like my own books, but it's underneath someone else's name. That is bonkers to me. I remember you telling me that where you're like, oh, because I was really worried as a like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, I'm running behind. Like I'm worried that like I need like maybe 1 or 2 more days. Like, will that be okay? And you were like, oh yeah, there's a person who's literally like 9 months late. And I was like, here I am being like, I just don't know if I can like ask for another so like few days. Like it just like, oh
Yeah.
my, like it just absolutely stressing out about it. Maybe that's another like segue into the next question is like you approached me.
Mhm.
Um, how how do you how do you look for people?
Oh, do you know want to know how I found you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I found you through Knit Stars.
Really?
Like the Knit Stars like list came out, and I go like I looked at people who are teaching. The Knit Stars list is always very interesting, and
Yeah.
Shelley seems to find some unique people I didn't realize were out there and were teaching. I don't know how she finds them. So I was like going through the list, and I'm like, why have I never heard of Knititude? Like, what is this? And so I started following you on social media, and I was stalking for a while. And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, she's got a book in her. She's got one.
I
So,
love it. Okay.
yeah.
Props to Shelley. Big fan. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I
Yeah.
love
So, I
it.
mean, like, I look everywhere. I look at, you know, if there's going like Rhinebeck.
Yeah.
Rhinebeck has some classes, not a lot, but I'll take a look and see who's teaching at Rhinebeck. What are they teaching? I'll look at folk knitting. What are they teaching? Whose classes are selling out? What are people wanting to do? I'm always looking at Ravelry and what's the top 25, 50 patterns. Am I seeing somebody pop up again and again that's telling me people really like that person's patterns?
Yeah.
Do they have something they can teach from those patterns? You
Yeah.
know,
Because I
yeah.
guess it is like really like, especially with when we were talking about like pattern books or not, like
Right.
we want an education based one. Do you find that like, I guess one of the questions that I have is like, because I have like a pretty big following just on like social
Mhm.
media, etc. Do you feel like I'm mainly asking for people who have like a smaller following or maybe like just getting like they've been designing for a while, but they haven't gotten like their big viral moment or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Like, how do you think that like it's harder for someone that has less to be seen?
It's not hard to be seen because it's not like we have 100 proposals a week coming in. So,
Yeah.
like, if you submit a proposal, I'm gonna see it. Um, but the market has changed so significantly, and there's just such a flood of books, and even now, even more so with the AI books that are out there like crazy. Don't get me started on those.
Oh my gosh,
But
we had to take down an AI one for
I
mine.
know, like, it's ridiculous the
Yeah, I
way
like
that
went on to
these.
you. I went on to like onto Amazon just to be like, oh, let me get a link for someone who just asked me for my book, and it was like an AI version that were like Chantals Miyagashima's like story from start to finish, and like sweater success. And I was like, I sent you a message immediately, and I was like, what the fuck is this? How do we get rid of this?
Right. The prevalence of AI generated content, especially on Amazon, is just
Insane.
awful. And what it's doing to the market is making it that like we need authors who can help drive an audience to the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you have no platform whatsoever, it is going to be harder to get a deal, but the way you get one is by having a topic that is trending hard and having connections that can help you spread the word.
Yeah.
So maybe you only have 10,000 followers instead of 100,000 followers. Can you show me you got really good engagement numbers? And can you show me that your topics, like people want to learn this thing? And do you have friends who will help you talk about it, who also have platforms, you know?
Yeah.
So someone with a smaller platform can get through. You just need to have a strategy.
Okay, so that actually gives us a nice, good segue. When you have someone pitching you, okay, let's break this down into two questions. Three tips that you would suggest to a person wanting to get published and pitching. And I guess
Mhm.
it kind of goes into a second part of the thing is like, what are some pitches that you've gotten that are like immediate heck yes or immediate absolutely not?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Three tips. Okay. Know your audience.
Okay.
It's very important. I think a lot of would-be authors just kind of like to do what they do, and they think other people kind of like it or will like it, or their family has told them people will like it. So they think they should write a book. No,
Okay.
you should not necessarily write a book. You need to know that you have an audience interested in what you are having to say beyond your family, and that there's a need out there for it. I
Yeah.
think it's important to like develop a look and a style. People should be able to know what is yours as opposed to somebody else's. Like that
Yes.
is so important. Like, and if
Yes.
you are like a Jack or Jill of all trades within your area, you can still find something that makes you you while
Mhm.
exploring all those different things. Like you, for example, Knitatude is a great example because although the styles of garments you make are all kind of different, they still do have a common thread to them, and you have developed a brand and a style that it is very identifiable. So work on developing what makes you you.
I
And
will
then
interject in that point
yes.
because one of the things is that like I always think of this the same when it comes to especially marketing is like you know the color palette that you are and also the tone of voice that you are. So like when you think of Nike, you think of like all black, check mark, just do it. Kind of an aggressive tone. When you think of Knititude, you think of like pastels. And when you look through this book of Sweater Success, it's like everything is like pastel-y purple. All of the like gauge swatches that I used ranged between a certain amount of like
Mhm.
purple, blue. We also went to Lake Louise for the photos. So like that is like brought through. I remember you sending me the first like look through of the book, the
Mhm.
first 16 pages, and
Yeah.
seeing the like little like semi-transparent boxes that were also taking the blue from Lake Louise. Like it
Mhm.
was magical. And I remember also going and talking about fonts. Like fonts were such a big
Yeah.
when we were going back and forth, especially with like a cursive, because I was like, but I want it to be like bubbly, but like elegant, but not
Right.
handwritten, but not, and like
Yeah.
having those was really helpful when actually making the book. Sorry. So that was your second tip is like know
Yeah.
your brand.
Know your brand. And then, know your USP. So your unique selling point. What is your USP? What makes you different from everybody else? Know it and own it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are my three tips. Worst book I've ever been pitched. This was it wasn't a legitimate pitch, but I mean, there's been a bunch of crazy ones, but one actually came from an author who wanted out of the first right to refusal clause in her contract.
Okay.
So you know what a first right to refusal is. It's in most book contracts today. It means like we're investing in you and we want to see your next book. Show us
Yeah.
your next book. And then like we will say yes or no to it, and if we say no, you can go shop it out to other people, but like we want to work together again.
Okay.
So this person for whatever reason did not want to work with the company again, so she proposed a book on like knitting the rings of a tree. Like, of course we're not going to do a book about knitting tree rings. Like, no. No. She really just did it to get out of first right to refusal. We refused that book so she could go put any book out there she wanted to any other publisher.
That's
But yeah,
insane.
yeah, yeah. I mean, she actually did a proposal for it.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
You know what? Good on her. She was like, I
yeah.
know a way to be able to get out of
I
here.
know how to get out of this. Yeah.
Okay, so if we're talking, what do you like when you, because again, you approached me. If I were to
Mhm.
approach you, I'm assuming that the thing that you would want to see as like an acquiring editor would be like this is my brand. This is like maybe like a, I guess we call it like a media kit, which is like, this is my
Yeah.
followers on all of these different platforms. This is my like book idea. This is how it
Yeah.
would break down. Is that like a good, if, and I'm
Yeah.
saying this for like anyone who is watching who's like, I really want to like pitch a publisher, but I don't know what to be able to do.
Right.
Like, is that what
Yeah.
you would want to see?
I love when somebody comes in with the framework of what they want to do. Like,
Yeah.
put together an actual book proposal. There are lots of resources out there that tell you how to do a book proposal. They don't necessarily tell you how to do a craft book proposal.
Okay.
And what I think craft book proposals need is visuals. Like, if you've developed your brand, I want to see what you see this book being like. So don't throw a swatch on your dirty kitchen table and use flash photography. Like, take the hour to actually set up a pretty
Yeah.
photo and put it in your proposal. Yeah, so have a clearly defined idea, present me that idea in a way that grabs me aesthetically and gets me to see your vision. And I'm going to respond. I'm going to be like, let's
Yeah.
talk about this, and some proposals come in and I'm like, this is the best idea ever. Why didn't we think of this? Yes, let's do it. And they don't need a lot of development, but most you got to be willing to talk with the acquiring
Yeah.
editor and kind of flesh some things out. But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I guess we haven't even talked about like photography because I remember chatting back and forth and like you guys being like, we can do our photos. And I was like, no, 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 no. I was like, I want to do our like my photos mainly because like I obviously have an aesthetic and
Yeah.
also I'm a very big like face of my brand. Like you see Knitatude, you see Chantal, like, and I
Yeah.
wanted to make sure that I could be the model in them as well.
Mhm.
Funny enough, the photos, which you already know this, the photos were the bane of my existence. Because I had
Yeah.
all these ideas. Like I went and I was like, Chantel, like you normally take everything with an iPhone with like a portrait background, which makes I like Apple way easier to be able to use. I ended up, so the way that I like broke down my photos was that all my patterns, I had one of my girlfriends who's a professional photographer. She does like all the weddings and
Mhm.
stuff. I had her do all of my photography for like the patterns, but everything else that was in the book, which was like how to be able to block, how to be able to take care of your sweater, how to be able to like shoot, like take your dimensions, like showing like things of like my hands holding a measuring tape, like all these different things I wanted to take myself. But being a person that like I went and I took a photography course, but turns out I have very shaky hands and I struggle to take the photos. So like the majority of those photos are actually Todd taking those photos and me being like, this is my idea, just do it. And he's like, I didn't go to photography school. Like,
The strain it put on your marriage.
oh my God. And it's like the
Yeah.
advantage is that again, because we were talking back and forth so often, I would be like, okay, how many photos do we need this? Because
Right.
I would literally do like Sundays, 2 days before, like 2 weekends before the deadline was due
Mhm.
to be able to do photography. And that poor fucking schmuck, like he would be like, here's your coffee in the morning. Let's go for a walk outside so we can get into the mindset and make sure that we're not raging this entire time. Yeah, the photography took me also for a loop. I think that's like maybe if I did a book again, I would be like, don't even try to do this. The photos are freaking pretty, but
They're
they
so good. They're so good.
they
Yeah.
definitely took
Yeah. I
a
mean, and photography for a book is, again, this is varies publisher to publisher. There are some
yeah.
craft book publishers I have worked with who do not have the means to have a photo shoot, period. And they rely entirely on author generated photography. Quarto is a hybrid. We would, if an author like you has a strong brand aesthetic, has a photographer they want to work with, has a vision for the book, we're going to support that and put it in the P&L to hire the photographer you
Yeah.
want to hire. Other times we have authors who ship the projects to our art team and the art team hires the photographer and does all
Yeah.
the photography. They would have been challenged to create the chapter openers in your book because they're
Yeah.
if you sent them a box of yarn they could stage some things, but they
Like you were
might not,
saying.
they would have had a different vision for it. So I like having it in the author's control in some
Yeah.
ways for that kind of thing. But that's just again where it's so important to have an actual vision for your brand and for your book, because it's going to make it a lot easier when it comes time to actually do those kind of photos.
And I'm not gonna lie, I wanted that photographer budget so bad.
Yeah.
Which is actually perfect. Let's talk a little bit about money.
Yeah.
Well, give whatever you feel comfortable with. But like, can you talk to me about how payout kind of works? Like, how do advances work? How do royalties work? How do
Yeah.
you figure those out?
Okay. Yeah. And just the caveat again, it's different for every publisher. You froze.
Oh, did I?
Oh, there you are. Okay, you're back. It's different for every publisher. So, don't say, Kerry said this is what I would get. Because it doesn't work that way. You go to Penguin Random House, you're going to get a different offer. Then you go to
Yeah.
Quarto, then you go to another publisher. So, yeah, in the world of the big five, we're not going to talk about, because that is a completely different world. The big five and the
Wait, who are the
kind of
big five?
the big five publishers are like Penguin Random House, Macmillan. They're like the conglomerates, the
Okay.
big guys, not the smaller independent publishers like Quarto. So
Okay.
Quarto is considered an independent publisher. That's different than like self-publishing. We're
Gotcha.
we're
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
mid-size. I would say we're mid-size. We do
Yeah.
several hundred books a year. We're a good-sized company, but we're not doing the thousands of books a season that Penguin is. And we don't have the budgets that Penguin has.
Yeah.
How advances and royalties work. It's typically based on the initial print run of the book. So we talked about the book going to pubboard. Pubboard, the sales team has said, we think we can sell this many copies in the first year. So that's going to be the first print run. And the royalties, I personally am not able to give an offer that will not pay out in that first print run. It's just too risky,
Yeah.
right? Like, I'm not going to pay you 3 print runs worth and then just hope it sells. No,
Yeah.
like, let's just stay within the world of the first print run.
Because if I'm correct, you don't ever have to pay advances back as an author.
No, you don't. No, an advance against royalties is a payment for your work.
Yeah.
And so basically, when your first royalty statement comes, you start in the negative because you've already been paid. And
Yes.
now, as the book sells and sells and sells based on your percentage, the negative's gonna disappear, and you're gonna start to go into the positive and receive additional royalty checks.
Yeah.
So advances are usually based on the royalty percentage that you are given. That again is dependent on the print run and the other components of the P&L. So like, if we're going to have to take on more costs up front, like the photography and the tech editing and the book design, all the things, then we might need to make the P&L balance. We might have to bring the royalty down 1% or 2%. But if the author's like, I already done all the photography and I don't need an extra budget for it, then I can up the royalties a little bit because the P&L has room in there for it.
Gotcha.
So royalties right now, though, are kind of they've been in the 8 to 10% based on net sales. So it's not cover price. It's never cover price. I know like one author that gets it on cover price.
Wish.
But yeah, it's so after the cost of the print run or the physical copies, after all the expenses and everything, it's net. You get a percentage of net, that 8 to 10%. Advances range wildly, but it's like somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000, depending.
Yeah.
So I know some publishers can offer a lot more. If we are really hot for an author, like,
they'll do whatever they can.
We'll do whatever we can. We'll be like, okay, well, maybe we won't spend as much on the design and we can pull this in-house or something, like we find ways to put corners, but yeah, that's the gist of it.
Yeah, I remember as soon as you reached out, I was like, how do I negotiate? Like, I know that there's a lot of people that will go out and they'll get like an actual agent, and I didn't. So
Yeah.
instead, I just if you guys were like following my Instagram probably about well, in like July of last year, you'll have seen a question being like, if you were a publisher for like a book, can you please send me a message? I would love to be able to pick your brain. And essentially what I ended up seeing was that like percentages from anyone that I talked to that already had done a craft book were usually between 10 to 12% for
Mhm.
royalties. So that again, that's after like you get your advanced paid off and it keeps on
Mhm.
going forward. But then
Yeah.
again, as you're saying, for the advances, to be able to like pay for you like making the book
Mhm.
dramatically we're I like talked to one person that she was like I got a 1K advance and I was like the fuck, but then I also talked to someone who had 18K and as an advance and that's the
Yeah.
highest that I've seen and I find
Yeah.
that like when I was talking to them as well where it was like if you're being an author like there's like a catch 22 the idea of like if you are going to take a really high advance, it means that you probably aren't going to see royalties until later. So, do you decide to take a smaller advance at like five, six, seven,
Mhm.
eight, or like five, or like three, knowing that you can pay those off right away? Because, yeah, I guess we'll go into some math. You could essentially like pay those off right away and then start making royalties. Because, yeah, what you're kind of talking about is like, let's say that your book is like $20.
Mhm.
Then you're saying that it's from the net. So let's say that it comes to like, we're going to do easy math and we're going to say that it comes to like $15. And let's
Yeah.
say that you have a 10% royalty. It means that technically every single time that you sell a book at that $20, which you only get 10% of 15,
Mhm.
your author is making like $1.50. And then
Yep.
that goes towards the advance. So say that you have an $1,000 advance. Sorry, we're really getting into numbers. If you have like an $1,000 advance, I'm going to use my calculator because that is way too hard.
Is that 750 copies? No, I'm really bad at math. That is why I
No,
hire
it's
tech
close. You
editors.
would have to sell
Okay.
technically 666 copies to be able to, that's like 1,000 divided by
That.
150. Yeah, to be able to then start making that 10% on top. So I think
Yep.
that was something that was like a thing for me to try and get my head around as well,
Mhm.
to be able to be
Yeah.
like, how does that make like how much am I going to have to market it? How much am I going to be paid in advance? Like, how does that
Yeah.
kind of work? And talking to everyone, it was like, it really dramatically changes. Like, the first offer that I ended up getting was like 5K. And I was like, you're saying
Mhm.
5K for 20 exclusive patterns. That is an absolute
Yeah.
no. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like that. I'm like, if each pattern, if I get lucky and it like takes off, that's great. If I get $100 from each pattern, that alone already goes over that like five. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. 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 It doesn't, yeah. I think I mean, nobody writes a craft book to get rich. It's not possible today. You're doing it for different reasons, but you do want it to be a good financial decision. So you
yes.
do have to balance what makes sense more upfront with the hope to earn more later. Do you want to push hard to get more upfront and potentially never make another thing afterwards? You just don't know. But one of the things I like to try to do for my authors is build in escalators. So, where your royalties might start at a low percentage, if you can get to more copies sold, I'll increase your royalties at those higher percentages because then we're both making more money at that point.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and who doesn't want a sliding scale? We love a
Right.
sliding.
So that, I mean, that's a little tidbit for anybody that is going through contract
Yeah.
negotiations and you don't like your advance. Ask, is there any opportunity for an escalator if I'm able to help sell more copies?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I definitely remember like multiple like friends telling me about that. And I remember asking you about it. I think I had like so much PTSD from my first original offer that like when you sent me a message, I was like, I am on it. This is what I want. This is what I will not accept. This is what it like. Yeah,
Oh,
thank you
yeah.
for taking all my neurotic things and like just kind of going with them.
I'm here for you.
The three other questions that I have is
Okay.
like, I guess we kind of talked about them already, which like there's so much more than just like words that go into the process,
Yeah.
patterns, photographies, tech editors, etc. Because
Copy editors, proofreaders, project managers. Yeah. Layout designers, art directors. is a big crew. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe that will you're like, I know what topic you're going to bring up. So maybe going to like when we were talking about like different fonts and different things like that, like you do have art directors and stuff. And the first time that I remember you sent me an email and you were like, drum roll, here
Yeah.
is your cover page. And I was like, I was like, oh, hell no. And
Yeah.
there's always like a part of me that's like, do I show it? Do I not? But essentially the gist was one of my patterns is like a beginner yoke. And
Mhm.
we had this beautiful photo of like kind of like me here to here,
Yeah.
looking down. And the first one had the title, but it had like multiple colors for fonts, multiple fonts, and it was
Yeah.
currently over my chest. And I was like,
Mhm.
I like that we got my purple in, but
Mhm.
I like my boobs, but
Yeah.
they're not my favorite part. And I remember going back and forth, being like, and working with like your graphic designers and everything like that to be able to like make
Yeah.
that perfect.
Yeah. I
Perfect.
mean, and then still, literally the day before we sent files to repro, we had to change the image.
Yes.
I'm sure the early pre-orders, like if they had a screenshot of their email, they would see the sweat, like your body position changes slightly.
Yes.
Um, yeah, because once we got the printer proof and we printed it in the office, it was just not crisp enough. That image, whatever the resolution, the way we had blown it up or whatever,
It's originally
those
that
final checks,
photo.
it was just,
The photo was horizontal, was landscape, and then we
yeah.
in to be able to get that perfect like background with just Lake Louise and me holding like, yeah.
Yeah. So then all of a sudden we're going through all the photos again. Where is this sweater again? Is her body in the right position that we can still have the text there? There are so many rules with photography for knitting. Like we can, in most things, design wise, you can mirror image if you need to. You
Yeah.
can't do that in knitting. Suddenly a slip slip knit is not a slip slip knit, it's a knit two together. And like there are book people out there or knitters who will like fine tooth comb. You made this mistake on this page and this is the wrong thing. And they will send emails about it. So you do not
Wild.
flip images. You do not flip images. You work with the image the way it is supposed to be. And then a lot of times too, like you can't overly edit an image to change the colors of the yarns or things because you can't misrepresent what a yarn company has provided or has available. So
Yes.
like there are restrictions and we were hunting through the photos and we found the one that is on the cover now, which I think works just as
Oh,
beautifully as
I
the
think it's
first
more
one.
of my purple hair.
Yeah, there's more of your purple hair in it. There's going to be spot gloss. It'll be gorgeous. Just I
Yeah,
can't wait for you to see it.
I know. I think I'm supposed to get it this week. That I'm just
Yeah. I'm
I
not
have
CC'd on those emails. I don't even know. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
CC
because
them.
that's the other thing. Like, there's so many people on the emails. Like, it was just like realizing it's like it's not just an author and an editor. It's like you do have your tech editor. So we had Sandy. We also had
Mhm.
like a copy editor as well, and like all these different people from marketing being like, hey, did you like where do you want to order books in advance? Do you want to put them on your website? Do you want to do that? Like there's so many more people that I anticipate that I don't think I like ever really took into account that they were there.
Yeah.
Because there's
And you were talking about the book math with the $20, $15, and you getting $1.50. They're like that other section is the salaries of the, like 40 people who helped make it
and
happen.
not even like the salaries, it's like the actual cost to be able to print a book, to be able to deal with
Yeah,
every other
that's
thing.
true.
Like there's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
there's so
That's a
so
lot.
much.
That's a
I
lot.
guess to kind of like wrap up our last couple things, like
Yeah.
what is your favorite book? Um, it doesn't
Yeah,
have to
you told me
be,
you were going to ask this, and it's such a hard question because, like, whatever book I'm working on is currently my favorite book.
yeah, okay, that makes
But
sense.
then I also like I read a ton, like, but just reading for pleasure. I recently finished The Names by Florence Knapp, and
Okay.
I love. She doesn't know this, but I'm going to just take credit for her because I worked with her on a book. She did Flossie Tea Cake's Guide to English Paper Piecing, And I love that book. I was editorial director on that book. And now she has a Sunday Times bestseller in The Names. It's a novel. So she's in the UK, so it's on the bestseller list in the UK. And we did this work trip for Creative Week, and we did a bookstore crawl. And every time I saw Florence's book, I'm like, that's my author. That's my author. Even though I had nothing to do with this book. But it was such a good read. And so that is like my not craft-based book that I enjoyed most recently.
Yeah.
And then, whatever book I'm currently working on is always my favorite book.
I had to laugh because I ended up posting a book that I picked up, and then you sent me a message and you were like, "Oh my God, that's actually a Quarto book. It's
Yep.
the Beautiful
Beautiful
Boards."
boards. Yeah.
Because I have
Our
just
New York team.
yeah, I've just been like Bugs Bunny over the moon making like charcuterie boards. And this board is like, this book is so pretty. I'm like trying to imagine. I wish I had the book with me. Of course, it's probably like somewhere in the abyss, but it's like this book that is just charcuterie boards, but it's like not just charcuterie boards. It's like, oh, here's like a make your own parfait board, like a pancake board, like a s'mores board, like different ones for like football themes or Thanksgiving. And I'm like, I'm literally thinking to myself, I'm like, because in like the actual book, she talks about, oh yeah, and I went on set with like the photographers, and then I built all of these boards there, and then took all the, and I'm like, it takes so long to make a charcuterie board look pretty and like and I'm like,
Yeah.
also how much did all of like the crew eat? Like that's like I'm like,
I'm with
best
the
shoot video.
Boston Beverly team, not the New York team. I'm wicked jealous that I didn't get to see beautiful boards being done. I'm sure they ate well at that photo shoot.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, and I guess like my last question for you is like, if you like, who is your dream author that you would love to work with?
Oh, I don't know. Like it I don't have anyone in particular because I think what I found, I used to be like, oh, I hope I get to work with her one day. But what I have found is that like I just want to work with people who want to have relationships. Like I'm so fortunate that I have been able to call many of my authors friends after the end of the book. Like we keep in touch, we send text messages in the middle of the night, like, we become friends through the process. And I have learned over the years that that person who I was like, oh, I hope I get to work with her is not necessarily the friendliest. Like, so, you start to
Yeah.
learn things about your idols. And I'm like, I am just so thankful I get to work with the people who I get to work with and that they're
Yeah.
such good people. So I'm always like, I'm excited to meet a new author and develop a new relationship, but there isn't anyone that I would rather be working with than who I'm working with.
That
Yeah.
is such a nicely political answer. I would have been like Sarah J. Maas, like, because I want all that money. Like,
Favorite. But we are working on a romantasy book. One of my authors is working on I don't know if I can tell. Well, it'll be out next year before yours, but or no. Yours is this year.
mine
God,
is this year.
that's the other thing about publishing. I live in different years. So like if somebody like I'm driving home late at night and swerving and somebody pulls me over and they're like, what year is it? I don't know. Like I'm doing contracts for things in 27. Like, is it 27? But anyway, yeah. So we are doing some romantasy books and there's one I'm working on right now that I am super excited about.
Okay,
I
so
will send you like a sneak peek. Like
that
it's
would
not
be
knitting. It's not knitting. It is a craft. I love this author so much. You may have seen some of her Moss inspired things going viral. I will send you a link. And then maybe you can share it in the chat, or like in the
in the
comments
show
below.
notes. Yeah, honestly, it's so funny that you say that. And I was like, I would never write a book again, but I do have a book idea. It is a romance book, and Todd and I kind of want to write it together, which is essentially it's hockey based. Um,
Okay.
Sorry, so I'm literally like, and I'm just gonna pitch it to you right now, Kerry. If you want to be able to do it, do it.
For
But it's
athlete, I want to hear it.
the idea is essentially so Todd and I were going to a hockey game because like we go to hockey all the time. Todd is like a hockey fan. But in Calgary, we have an ice crew or like an ice and drill crew. So they're the ones that like go and they like shovel the ice
Mhm.
in between like in commercial periods. But one of the things is that like some ice crews are all women and some ice
Mhm.
crews are like different back and forth. I like both genders. But one of the things that I've found is that the to me the drill crew in Calgary, because it's all ridiculously beautiful women, I think they get this idea that like these women are dumb idiots. But like
Oh,
these are
oh.
usually like they're either like coaches for like U7 for a bunch of girls, or they like do their own ring out. Like these are like powerful skaters that are just
Mhm.
also just happen to be like beautiful. But I've always had this like there's this thing with like, oh, I think it's not Kessler. It's another one who used to be on the Canucks. Either way, he ended up pulling a prank with a bunch of his own like his own like hockey team, and he dressed up as a ice crew and would like specifically like piss off his other people being like beep beep like coming through. And I always thought that a perfect meet cute would be like the hockey player is just transferring to a new team, but he's kind of a dick. He's got a bad like rap in the entire thing. My first opening line of the book would be like, God, what a prick. And you can tell that she's like talking and they end up having to be on like the same like team. And that's like a forbidden romance because the idea is that like you're technically not allowed to date any of the players that you are like on the same team with. Either way,
Mhm.
that's the idea. I
Fun.
haven't figured it out, but that's we're just doing that a hot pitch. I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't know if I'll ever write it, but Todd and I have this like idea because he is the hockey player that he would write like all of the men's sides.
Mm.
And I would write all the women's side. We'll see.
Okay. Fun.
Now that I've pitched you another book, we're going to finish off this entire
Okay.
thing with I do this in every single one of my YouTube chats with any guests, and it is a
Yeah.
lightning round. And the idea is that you have to answer these questions as quick as possible. You do not get time to like
Won't
think
think
about
about
them. I want them like straight out of the mouth, and I want it all. Okay, we start
it. Okay.
off nice and easy. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Knitting or sewing? Because I know you sew as well.
Knitting.
What is your favorite snack to knit to do while you craft?
Popcorn. My husband does homemade kettle corn. Like we have this little vintage cranker thing to pop it on the stove, and he does homemade kettle corn. Delicious.
Oh my God. Yeah, popcorn is my Achilles heel. Favorite genre of books outside of crafting?
Oh, thriller.
Ooh, we have to chat. I have so many.
The Patient, like one of my favorites. Psychological thriller, The Patient, so good.
Ooh, okay. I will add it to my TBR. Beach or mountain?
Mountain or
Next
beach.
crafting.
Oh, that's hard. Like, I'm sorry. No, I really love the water, but I like mountain views. Can I have a beach by a mountain?
Well, technically that's just Vancouver, so yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
uh, Next craft that you want to try.
I want to try the tufting machines that like take yarn and tuft it through fabric, and it makes rugs and things like rug tufting.
Yeah,
I
it
want
looks
to like the
like
little machine, and I know Quarto has a book about it. And the machines are getting much more affordable, and like I'm tempted to make a rug for my office.
they look like screwdriver,
They do,
like a
yeah. And
like a
there's like
power
a
drill.
needle going in and out of the fabric, looping. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
they look
Rug.
intense. Dream vacation.
I want to go back to Europe. I want to spend some time in Scotland and Ireland. I haven't spent enough time there.
Yeah. Favorite weight of yarn.
I'd say DK. Yeah.
I asked my like membership this as well, and they also said DK. Wild. Waffles. Sorry, this one's very contested. Waffles
Okay.
or pancakes?
I can't do either. Celiac.
Oh my
So
God,
they're
you're
going to be
right.
gluten free and they're going to suck.
Okay, if you could have one, which one would you have?
If I could have one, I would go for pancakes.
Ah, I'm a waffle girl, like to the max. What's your favorite color to work with?
Okay, so there's this one color from Madeline Tosh called Venetian. I've knit 3 sweaters with it. It is this gorgeous, rich, plummy purple with a hint of red. It is like the Kerry color. My friends all know it. Like they send me links to anything within that shade because that is Kerry. That is a Kerry color.
I love it. Variegated or solid?
Solid,
Pastel or bright?
bright,
Neutral or bold?
bold.
Favorite type of project to knit?
Sweaters.
Uh, this is not a throw. It doesn't have to be me. Who's your favorite designer?
Oh, I don't know. I like so many designers. I like who's ever knitting, or like I like the designer who's ever making the thing that I'm currently knitting.
Okay, what are you currently knitting?
I just cast on a Thea Coleman sweater.
Love.
Like I've never done a cabled sweater. Like I've done sweaters with some cabling, but like this is a full cable panel up the front. Like yeah.
Okay. Uh, book trope pet peeve.
Oh, book trope pet peeve. Like it's usually like the awkward girl gets pretty and gets a man.
Mine is pregnancy.
Oh.
Like, no. Okay, and then last question. What is a favorite book that you've edited out of all of the books that you have edited in general?
I don't know. Okay, so one of my favorites, like my go-to favorite one, I'm so proud I got to work on, besides yours, which is fantastic, but I'm not counting it because it's not in my hands yet.
Nope.
I got to work with Andrea Rangel at for Alternate Stitch Dictionary. I love that book so much, and that book almost didn't happen. And it was at a time where it was like people didn't think color work could be in a whole book on its own, and I'm like, oh yes, it can. And that got translated into like 13 languages. And I was like, yes, like the thing they said wasn't going to be a thing.
Beauty.
Told you. I told you it was going to be good.
Yay, we love it. Okay, so that literally wraps up our whole entire thing. Do you have anything that you want to like pump? You have a minute.
I don't have things to pump. Just, I don't have things to pump. I have books to do.
I have books to do. Do you want me like I can share also your information below, and if you do like
Yeah. Put it in the show notes. We do have, if anybody wants to submit a proposal to Quarto, we have a submission portal. We would love to hear from you. Lots of email addresses, whether you want to do something creative or cooking related or gardening related. We do so many different kinds of books. So yeah, put that link. Then follow us on Instagram, you know, Quarto Books US. I'm on Instagram at Cabs Concepts. That's so if you want to say hi to me there, I love to hear from people.
Yay. Well, I'm seriously so glad that we got to chat. And I am so tickled because, like, honestly, it's been such a wonderful experience writing a book. And I think that's honestly because of you. So,
Well, thank you. I have loved working with you too. So let's make it a bestseller.
yeah, agreed. So, if you have not picked up the pre-order, I will put that in the show notes as well. The book officially comes out November 4th, which is very, very exciting. And thank you guys for following and joining on the channel. Make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, do the whole shebang, and we will see you around.